Ladies and gentlemen, my name is VTech. We're here for a special episode today with T-Dub and Talk. We got Genadi. You're one of the most long-time modders of the community, aside from, of course, Flash, and like one of the most respected. Why would you be on here with me? I'm just a guy that makes YouTube videos. You're actually making the mods, which everybody across the whole community, you're probably a big portion of why people buy this video game.
That's very nice of you to say, mate. I don't really know what to say to that. Thank you. I do it for fun. We do it for fun.
Yeah, definitely. So let's get into the background of why do you like pro wrestling? Like, was it like one memory for you, or is it just a family thing? As our prelude was talking about with 370 Gaming, how it was a family thing that he would just watch it, and then it was just on, so he fell in love with it. So
yeah, very similar, mate. So I was born and bred on wrestling as well. When I was a little fella, in the 80s, there was only 5 channels in Australia. So 2 of those were government channels. So the 3 that were good sort of had a monopoly on the market, and one of the shows was WWF. My father used to be a big wrestling fan as well, so yeah, he sort of raised me on it from a very young age, WrestleMania 1 and onwards. It was predominantly WWF here. We didn't see much else other than NWA in the 80s. Yeah, that was pretty much my introduction, mate. I've been sucked on it since.
So if you had to pick a wrestling company aside from WWE that you really enjoy, what would you say?
Right now, or?
I guess right now, or of all time, kinda.
Yeah, Lucha Underground right now is probably my favourite company. I really enjoy what they're doing. Not that they're doing that much. Only a couple seasons so far, but what they've done I really like. New Japan, obviously, with G1 just gone. G1's always great. But that's about it. Believe it or not, there's probably a couple flack, but I've been enjoying TNA lately too, so it's been more enjoyable than WWE lately. So.
Brother Genadi, I knew you'd come.
Yeah.
What's big in Australia?
I love what Brett's doing.
For pro wrestling, what's big in Australia? Because we have a lot of wrestling all around the world, but the big places that we don't really talk about too much is Australia. And Australia is kind of a key thing in TW, and I'm surprised, being Australian native, you haven't snuck in your favorite promotion here and there too much. Like, what's big in Australia that you said these guys need to go to the States or go to Japan and really make it?
Well, I wish I had some answers for you, but there's probably not too many. Local wrestling here hasn't been very good since the 70s, really. When my dad used to go as a young. So that's probably why Australia is in TEW as well, because of the role that it's played in the past. But unfortunately, the years haven't been so kind. So I think that the females are probably the highest prospects we've got at the moment. Some of the girls up and coming, I think they can probably go on to bigger and better things. But other than AWF, there's really no central company here, mate. It's mostly just little local promotions here and there that try to scam everyone at RSLs and things like that, which are leagues, clubs, we call them here, sort of little bars and pubs they play at.
If you had to name 3 Australian wrestlers that we should stop and Google right now, who would they be?
Mate, I wish I had some names. Maybe Crackerjack. Everyone knows TNT. Yeah, there's not too many, mate. I wish I could give you names, but that's the sad state of Australian wrestling. My friend Burning Hamster on GDS will probably give me big shit for this, but he likes Australian wrestling a lot more than me, so he gets out to a lot more of the shows, a lot more of the local shows, but it's not really for me. Last show, Newcastle, actually, it was a big schmozzle, a big rip-off local show, so it left a bad taste in my mouth.
Have you ever gone to a WWE event or anything like that nature, the more mainstream popularity?
Yeah, I have. So TNA came out here as well.
Really?
Yeah, well, under the TNA banner, but it was the whole roster. So Jarrett and Rhino made an anything. That was the 2 of the big followers up here actually, and no show. So that was another schmozzle. And I've seen WWE about 4 or 5 times. They've come out with big tours as well.
Alright, here comes the big question now. What got you into Total Extreme Wrestling? Were you a big fan of EWR before TW came out? Like, what's your story behind it? You know, as probably working with Adam in terms of, you know, being a fan of the product, playing the game, and then essentially going to make the mods that a lot of people just love, and that's a key reason why people buy the mods. Even, you know, in 2013 people imported a whole bunch of your mods because clearly we couldn't get all the kinks of 2016 figured out at first, but people still imported your mods. So what was your rise to fame there?
It's very nice of you to say, Ray. It is. EWR was first game. EWD actually it was called back then.
Deluxe, right?
5. Yeah, Deluxe. I think it was 700. There was a couple of them. Then it was 9,000. Had a couple of 9. Very, very basic stuff. That was about 2002, I think. Even earlier. Jeez, I think it was just after the invasion. When every wrestling fan was obviously talking about how they would have booked it a lot better. And EWD and EWR were making rounds on a lot of forums back then. So that's how I first started playing. Yeah, it was EWD, and then I can remember EWR releasing Extreme Warfare Revenge. That was a really big deal. And then a couple of updates. And followed it ever since. I didn't start modding until 2005, I think it was. Yeah, so TEW04 2004 was Adam's first retail game. I did mod for that. It was 05 I started.
Have you actually have any good stories with Adam? Wait, what'd you say? I'm sorry.
Sorry, mate.
No, you go with your story.
No, it's alright, the delay, sorry.
Do you have any good Adam stories?
I was going to say a few of my friends modded before.
Or no, you shoot first. Yeah, there is a delay, sorry.
No worries. Just a few of my friends modded before that. Burning Hamster was probably the most well known on the board still, and he's one of the ones that helped me a lot actually. The first mod I made for 05. As far as Adam questions, mate, Adam stories. Sorry, I don't really. I really don't. He's a private guy, as you can probably take from the boards.
Yeah, he's very undercover.
So. Yeah, exactly. So, other than game-related questions and things like that, which I've asked him millions over the years, which he has been great with. He's answered every one of my questions over the years related to the game, which has been a huge help. But other than that, we just kind of do our own thing, really.
Is he big into the modding scene? Like, does he actually converse a lot with you and Fleisch and maybe some other people and say, hey, the new game's coming out, I'd really appreciate, was he actually the sole creator of the mod squad and then you took charge of that, or was it just something that you said, hey, let's get a whole group of people multitasking at their specialties? Because it's really down and packed when it comes to people knowing their stuff, which is crazy. For even little stuff like the Joshi wrestlers, I was shocked to see Joshi wrestlers get major love. Yes.
Yeah, so no, Adam had nothing to do with that, man. I think by law, I don't think he can legally, or copyright law, whatever we should call it. He can get into trouble that side of things. That's why we've got Seaverse, obviously, but no, he had nothing to do with that. Mod Squad is really probably something people I think too much of. We're not really a crew or a clique or a bunch of guys that wear the same shirt. We're just I don't know, the best way to put it is that the Mod Squad's been around for 5 or 6 years. People just haven't realized it. The guys that I'm working with now, I've worked with some of them for 10 years now, and we have been working together for that long behind the scenes. It was just a case of this year of putting it all together and organising it a bit better, getting our own forums, putting everything out there in print. Just organising a lot better and putting a name on it for fun. But it kind of blew up into this thing. It became a bit bigger than I expected.
It really was the clique. It was very, very indie-ish, and it lasted for a long time. It took a little break, and then it was like, hey, me and my buddies, we did this thing called the clique, and we're gonna bring back Too Sweeting everybody.
Yeah,
You all
yeah,
wear the same
exactly. I can see
jacket.
how it looked like that. Yeah, yeah, totally. But no, so I took a break myself, as you said, for about 2 years, man. A while ago. So, and most of the guys in the squad now were still doing their thing, making their own mods, which they still do now. That's another probably misconception, is that everyone's got their hand in each mod. That's not really the way it works. It's more everyone does their own thing, but we sort of pool our resources to help out with bigger things and bounce things off each other, which has worked really, really well. Yeah.
If you had to pick, well, what do you do nowadays for TW? Like, do you actually get to play the game, or are you just so involved with the modding of it that you don't get to enjoy it too much? Like, do you actually get to sit down and be like, all right, this is my save, I'm gonna play it?
Yeah, I do actually. That's a question I get a lot. People think I don't play, but yeah. So every year I play the 3 games that are sort of my main games, and I have other games around that, which is my TCW game, my WWF game in '97, and a game in '96 with Jesse's Burning Hamsters mod. I shouldn't call him that.
His shoot name.
Mod. Yeah, that's right.
I'm just letting you shoot from the hip. But you talked about the 1997 mod, which is Montreal Aftermath, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but I have a big thank you to give you, because that was one of the biggest things on my previous channel, was the Montreal Aftermath of WWF versus WCW, and no one really was doing it at the time, and I believe we actually did it before the network was even out. So then, once people started seeing the Monday Night Wars, it got heat with that. People probably saw TW, and like that, just a major thank you, because we had so much fun with it. Like, the greatest thing in the world is giving Lex Luger a gimmick, because in TW 2013 he would fart backstage, and him and Lodi would get high and do drugs. Like, we just had too much fun.
That's great to hear. That's yeah. That's half the reason we make mods, man, is to hear stories like that. It's great to hear that people enjoy them. It's really nice to hear that you had that much fun with it too.
And I love all the clicks with this year's addition to the game, of how, Eric Bischoff could get a click together against someone. So
yeah, it's great step forward, I think.
Have you witnessed the secret feature, by the way? Like, have you actually played through one of your databases and witnessed it, or is it still a thing that you're really hoping to hit?
No, I haven't seen it in one of my games yet. I haven't got. I think the longest play I've got is TCW, which is only about 4 years. So I think it's 5 years until it kicks in. But I've heard it's a lot rarer now too. So
yeah, it's kind of terrifying though too, if you think about it. Your entire roster just disappearing when
Yeah, it's kind of silly in my opinion, actually.
Yeah. But it was based off a real life event too, though. So I guess it.
Yeah, a real life event in soccer, though. That's why I'm overcritical though, mate. Everyone knows that about me and TW. I love the game so much. I'm very critical, so I really don't like that feature. I'd probably prefer something like an Exodus, where half the roster packs up and makes a new company, something that's happened in wrestling, as opposed to just I don't know. It just feels like a game killer to me.
Well, it kills off a bunch of stars in the scene, so. If you had to pick one feature though this year that you can just fell in love with, besides Auto Booker for a lot of people, what would it be?
The Auto Booker, I haven't used that once. There's a few features. Good question. I'd say it's probably, as you touched on earlier, that's a big improvement. I think the way you can medal things now, the way you've got more control, I really like that aspect, because it's so important to the way things really work. So I think that's a big step forward. But early on, I was probably a little bit overcritical, but the more I played, I think the more differences I noticed. So other than a few key features, I'm really happy with 16.
For mods that you make, what would you say is probably your favorite one?
Favorite to play?
Just favorite one you've made so far that you think, like, we really hit it with this one in terms of...
Probably Montreal Aftermath.
Because of the whole WWF versus WCW?
Yeah, just because that's the first one I made, so that's always... Yeah, it's always been my little bit of a baby. It's such a great time for TEW too, with mechanics, the national battles, and the screw job this year as well. The Dot has a special place in my heart too. TGA has a special place in my heart as well. I should give love to Dot though while I'm on that. That's the mod that inspired TGA. So with no Dot, there wouldn't be a TGA.
So you have a bunch of mods planned. Of course, a bunch of fantasy mods, such as like WCW Lives, etc. But one new one that got a lot of people really hyped was the Summer of Punk. You want to just like throw a little like a sneak peek for people, not like anything too crazy, but just like say, hey, this is, it's clearly the Summer of Punk, but because I know you released some videos this morning, right, featuring the Art of War and
yeah.
You there?
Sorry, mate, you cut out.
Sorry. I was asking about do you have any like little sneak peek of like the Summer of Punk, or any databases that are coming out, and you just want to say, hey, keep your eye out for this one because it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays into the wrestling world that you're involved in.
Yeah, definitely Summer of Punk. We've got an alt mod coming for the Art of War, which will be alternate reality timeline mod. That will be fun. 2001 is probably a lot closer than people think to being ready. That's been worked on for a long time. So
that's is that WCW Lives or just the death of it?
Both of them. So
Ooh.
The death of WCW is the main mod, which once that's done will make WCW Lives off the death of WCW. But it's some really minor changes. It's only some roster changes and broadcaster stuff that we need to set up. So that'll only take a few hours once the death of WCW is done, which isn't too far off. So yeah, hopefully we'll have some news really soon on that as well.
Nice. For the Summer of Punk, I had a requested question to ask. Is this starting out the summer or at the as soon as he gets the title?
It'll start off mid 2011. I think we haven't decided yet between June and July. It'll definitely be one of those months. That'll be decided within the next few weeks because work's getting a lot closer to being concrete on that as well. So some light work's been started on Summer of Punk already, but the main work will start once 01 is done, which will be pretty soon.
I'm looking really excited for that.
We'll announce then, but I think... Sorry.
No, shoot, real quick.
Oh yeah, no, that was all I was going to say. Sorry, mate. Yeah, a couple of weeks, and then we'll have a firm announcement. But I think we're leaning towards July. Just can't quite remember.
I'm really excited for it because aside from the whole CM Punk aspect of course, doing the whole Summer of Punk and how it probably should have gone, is TNA during that time was in a very sticky situation because of AJ Styles clearly going Japan, that whole route of him transitioning out. Other crazy things going on in 2011, of course, but I think that's just a good year that we always have a good year in wrestling that people really enjoy, whether it's 2008, 2011, the entire 90s was just phenomenal. 85 was a great one, and of course modern day stuff.
Yeah, definitely. That's something I can mention now also is two new members are working on two different mods. One will be 1989 and the other mod will be 1980.
Nice.
So we'll have some more news on that soon too. Yeah, they're looking really, really good too. So that'll be fun.
So say for instance you get tired of making the real world mods. Do you know who Crayon is, right?
Sorry mate, you cut out just there at the end again, sorry.
Say for instance you get tired of making the real world mods. Would you ever consider making like an alternate world such as like Crayon's 9000 verse or even Flash's like Diablo verse, like put something with your own twist and stuff that you really enjoy and think people would get into?
Yeah, we actually talked about that, but I think that's best left for the creative types like Crayon and the guys that are really good at it. I know Stenik has done some work in the past on stuff like that as well. I think he might be working on his own still. his own fictional verse, but no, there's so many years I've got left that until 1970, until present is done. Until we've got a mod for every year, I probably won't look at doing anything fictional. Not that I don't really respect their work and think they're great, but yeah, I'll leave those for the more creative types.
I think it'd be nice to see an entire mod squad wearing their, varsity jackets, seeing how they could fare up against an alternate, fictional verse.
Yeah, well, we actually had a chat about a mod that's going to be, I think 1970 or 1960. So if we did, that would probably be half fictional because we'd have to make up half the stuff, considering there's no information on it all. But yeah, that'd be as close as we get in the foreseeable future.
Do you think this is the greatest game year in terms of from 2013 to 2016? Of course, 2005 to I believe 2008 to 2010. Basically from game to game. Do you think 2016's lifespan so far is one of the greatest in terms of the mod making scene? Because we had a ton of mods in 2013, but it seems like in 2016 the amount of mods is just, it's gone crazy. Like there's literally something for everyone now in 2016. Even the style of the artwork I think has changed so much, and I think we're seeing a bit of a boost in wrestling, so we're getting a lot of eyes. So
yeah, definitely, and I think it's also a result of a lot of the guys getting a lot better at what they do. So a lot of the guys that have made mods this year, it's not their first time making mods, but from what I've seen, especially from a few guys, they're doing a lot better jobs. Not to say their work wasn't good in the first place, but some really, really good stuff. So it's not just the quantity. I think the quality's been the most surprising thing to me with 2016. I think this is probably some of the best quality I've seen since I can remember, to be honest. Yeah. So, a lot better understanding of the game now.
I'm trying to remember, were you on a still who was Let's Play TW? Were you on his 24-hour live stream?
I was, mate, yeah, but he got sick, so
yeah, was that around
we had to
your
cut
time?
It short a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of TW Let's Players, anybody you want to shout out that you're like, hey, I love watching their stuff? Like, for instance, I love, Curb Stomp, guys like them, the newer guys, aside from people who've done it like a long time, such as a still.
Yeah, like that's really interesting you say it, because until Astil, sorry, I probably pronounced it wrong, but
yeah, I don't want to call him his shoot name, so I'm kind of like, let's play TW. He's that guy.
Yeah, I'll call him AS. When he contacted me about that live stream, and I got to admit, I didn't even know that they existed on YouTube. So I had about 2 nights straight where for about 8 hours, all I did was watch all these Let's Plays of some of my mods from the past. So it blew my mind a little bit, to be honest. And I'm still catching up on them all, and I know I haven't seen them all. So the guys link them sometimes when they see them in chat and things like that, but it's just so hard to catch up with them all, and a lot of them are older. So some of the mistakes I see in my own mods while they're playing, I can't watch. I have to turn it off, man, because I know that they're better now. So I think it's great. I think it's awesome. Yeah, I haven't seen many. I wish I could. So I'll definitely give a shout out to Astil, but that's about all I can really. Oh, and sorry, there's one other dude, Tony Pepperoni. He's another dude that I checked out that did 2001. That was pretty cool.
So you spoke about mostly being a forum guy, which is kind of that mindset that a lot of people in the community have, is like they've been around the forums. Back in the day, I used to do a thing called e-fetting on the forums, which is just like fantasy wrestling, kind of like fantasy football, stuff of that nature. I was really big on forums, and then that slowly evolved too, even with the TW diaries. The diaries then became Let's Plays. Any big diaries that you're into and you're like, hey, like this diary is like part of my mod and I just love it, how they're interpreting their own graphics and everything, or even adding on to our graphics, stuff like that?
Dude, this is going to seem like a really cheap answer, but I'm being honest. I really am. All of them. I read every time I see one. I honestly do. I read it because I don't think there's any wrong way to play. I don't think there's any wrong decisions. I think everyone just has a different outlook, a different vision, or a different way they see the future and see how things were. So I love them. I love reading them. I love seeing twists and turns, what challenges they've thrown up. Yeah, so really, without sounding too lazy, all of them I enjoy. I haven't seen one I haven't yet. So
I love that answer. All right, it's time for the big shoot question. we gotta talk about the big shoot question that a lot of people have been waiting for, and then we'll get back into basic advice you would give to people. But big shoot question of the day. Of course, we talked about this earlier. And of course, I hit up Best in the World 21, who is doing his interpretation on a mod through I believe 2001, which now that everything's kind of pieced together, and that when you hear half of the story, it's kind of like you still don't want to take a side because it's very iffy. But now that you hear that his mod wasn't really that complete, but he's doing like a private thing because you guys are releasing the WCW Lives and 2001 mod, which is what he was doing around the same time, it kind of makes sense that you couldn't really give out that right definitely at this time. So what's your big opinion on that?
Yeah, so man, it's a little bit more detailed than that, but without boring you or going into a history of GDS, I have never said no to anyone asking for a mod for data or anything like that. The closest to no I've gotten is just suggesting a different year or date if we're doing that same date. So Best in the World sort of posted that stuff that he was going ahead with it. I didn't even notice. It wasn't until he sent me a private message, I think it was about 2 weeks after that thread was up, asking me to use 2001 as a base for 2000. But one of our team members is actually working on 2000 using 2001 as a base. So I suggested he change the date, maybe I think it was November 99 or June 2000, but I didn't hear back. So the next I saw was that post up on GDS, man. So yeah, it's one of those things, dude. GDS is a funny place. I don't really take much value in it anymore without sounding rude. But I think people just take things a bit too serious, and all that people were getting worked up and getting upset and posting ridiculous shit just because I don't know if they have too much time on their hands or what, but I just think they take it too serious, dude. Yeah,
I think that's kind of the wrestling world though too.
Yeah, that's why I said, man, invite him on the show and have a chat, because he, I don't know, he maybe would have been a good idea for him to post, hey, Jen didn't say no. He said they're doing the exact same mod using his work, and they suggested a different date, but I don't want to do that date. Then maybe probably people would have understood it a bit better, but the way it came across, but yeah, I don't waste energy even defending that stuff, man.
Yeah, I completely see your point on it. And what you said with the GDS forums, of course, time for some self-promotion, I guess. Tog is releasing his own little thing, because I know that the EW Warehouse hasn't really had much time to get some love, and so Tog might be taking that and then also getting some stuff with his own thing with House of Pro Wrestling, kind of the overall look of where you'll be able to, it's basically kind of like a GDS forum but more up to date with how a modern website would look. I don't want to sound too brash, but yeah, do you know much about that?
I do, mate. Yeah, so I've been working with the boys on it. So the forums are called Wrestling Nexus forums, and the hosting site that Tog's making is called the Modding Warehouse, or the House of Wrestling, sorry. So two different sites, but they're linked, so sister sites. So one will be the forum for dynasties and mods, and the other one will be hosting, just straight up hosting. I don't know if you've had a chance to check them out, but I was blown away.
Yeah, I'm a member of both.
Mr. Creative was the guy. I don't know. Oh, okay, great. Well, yeah, and you might know Mr. Creative from the forums from GDS, but he was the one that made the Wrestling Nexus forums. He did a great job. Tog did an awesome job on the hosting site too. So, yeah, they both look really, really good. It was kind of our, again, man, probably just our natural progression that we've got so much work now, and we're all communicating that much. We just figured our own forums would be the way to go. We'll still be active on GDS and still be releasing everything there, despite what you may have heard from some people on GDS.
Yeah, there's been definitely
we won't.
people going crazy saying that all the good mods are gonna shift, but I don't think that would be
No,
possible.
no, man. Yeah, we'll always be at GDS. We make games for GDS, so it makes no sense for us to ever not be on GDS. We just want to host them somewhere else for a few reasons. It gives us a really good indication when we're hosting on TOG site exactly how many people are downloading, when they're downloading, things like that. So it gives us a good idea of what's popular or not. And a few other things too, like we want to do some next level shit with diaries, maybe run some competitions, make it a little bit easier and better interface for people to host those things. So yeah, we just thought we'd take the initiative and do it ourselves, man. But that was the other thing I was going to say is there's no way. I think a few people threw out some shit the other day saying that we'd be charging for mods or something like that. That'll never happen.
What?
Yeah, dude, that'll never happen.
It's not
That's
legal
craziness.
either.
It's never even been discussed. Yeah, it wouldn't be, man. There you go. Yeah, but it's not even an option. We laughed when we read it. I think there's a donate button, but there's a donate button on every forum. There's just
Literally, yeah.
up. But that's not mandatory or anything. There's no way anyone will ever charge. If anyone ever did, it's probably the only way someone could probably ever get kicked out of the group would be do something like that. So yeah, it's just a fun site. A lot of similar things. It'll be fun. We'll kick off some competition soon, so hopefully people will really enjoy it.
It's a bit of a transition here with what you're talking about, bringing it to the next level.
Yeah.
Total Extreme Wrestling is, in my opinion, that game that if you were to put it on Steam, which we finally did get on Steam, but it's the 2010 version. I'm not 100% sure if the 2013 is on there.
That was my suggestion.
Thank you so much, because even even though I won't go back and play 2010, to be honest, because I have 2016, it's still the fact of that's more eyes, and I think that taking it even farther, because I do see that there is the problem with clearly piracy and the whole keyway. However, people have also been able to get out of the keyway. I bought the game day one. I was actually straight up in a college class online and buy it on my phone, so that's how much I'm devoted to it. And I think it's clear that if they're devoted to it, they will get it, and people who even are big wrestling fans will get it anyways. Even if they don't have the money, they will eventually pay for it. But I think that definitely getting it on Steam was a good direction, and I think that you definitely helped it to elevate. I just think now it's time with the release of 2K17, maybe say, hey, not competing with WWE clearly, because that would be hard, but saying, hey, this is another wrestling game, and I think it would be great to put at least 2013 on there, because it's a much more improvement compared to 2010. 2016 is still up in the air. I know how Adam feels about that clearly, so I can see his viewpoint of waiting for 2016 to even get anywhere near Steam, but getting it there and then getting that forums to blow up. I think that's a key thing of getting the discussion forums for people to be like, hey, there's mods out there. It's not just the C-verse. If you're wondering about that, we will actually be able to have a great modding scene, and it's already happened 3 years ago. What's your take on you got this on Steam apparently? How'd you get that happen? That's big suggestion.
Yeah, no, I just made the suggestion, mate. Yeah, so you can load games into Steam that aren't on Steam. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah, I already have it on there, so it's a default one.
There you go. Yeah, so I did the same thing, man. I think it was with TW10, and I had a bunch of friends on Steam saying, what is this game? What is this wrestling game you're playing? I want to play, and I had to tell them that it wasn't on Steam. And that's when I just shot Adam a message, man. So I think that was probably all Ali, and I'm sure other people suggested it over the years, but I definitely pushed for it. As I always have with TEW, I've always tried to promote it as much as I can, because I know the more people that play, the better game we're going to get. So I agree with you 100%, man. That the sooner it's on Steam, the better. It's the new medium. A lot of people won't even go near it if it's not on Steam. So
because though I think that's definitely a thing that TW is no longer, in my opinion, that indie game that someone makes for wrestling. It's got the replay value, and it's got as much story as you bring into it, but you could literally have your own fantasy of anything, of ECW running wild, or TNA going over, New Japan taking over the world, anything, even with Crayon's mod, with his fantasy stuff, with Dragon Ball Z, all that stuff. anything's possible in this game. I think that's a big thing that really contributes to the UI is good. The game, in my opinion, I always update the versions of the game except for today because I didn't even know there's an update. I don't really see it broken too much. Like, it's kind of, I don't know how he even made another one. Like, I always thought it was just perfected. So
yeah, I I probably disagree there, but as I said, man, I'm really critical of the game because I love it so much. So yeah, I think broadcasters could have been a lot better this year. Really wasn't happy with that change. The way the tape shows didn't work. A few things like that I think could have been improved. But for a one-man show, he does a pretty good job.
If you had to give a big suggestion for, I know we won't see another TW game for a while now, but if you had to give a big suggestion for Adam, whether it be for TW 2020 or something like that, what would be like a big thing you would add, or even tell him like, hey, like actually get a whole bunch of other people to help you out aside from yourself if he was to grow from a one-man squad of this and get some more up-to-date not coders, but people who also can help him with the minor stuff, such as increasing the resolution or changing from I think he's using some type of Microsoft program for the game, but he could upgrade to another one. Like, what would your big suggestion be?
I've probably already made it, mate, to be honest, because I make a lot of suggestions. Something I was pretty vocal about the first few weeks of playing 16 would be my biggest suggestion. Without sounding too harsh, my biggest want is for the game to become more immersive, more of a wrestling game and less of a simulator. I think it could be very immersive if you maybe put a lot more effort into that sense. So when you're booking a show, for example, and it's live, we should be seeing it from the gorilla position, not just looking at spreadsheets. I'd rather things like heat bars back as opposed to number grades, which just break immersion for me. So overall, some of those things I'd really, really like to see back in. But I've made those suggestions, so I'm sure he knows.
I'm going to tie this into a bit of a game that I played as a kid. It was called Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and it simulated the world of China going through the Three Kingdoms period. And one thing was you could play as the ruler or even an officer, and when I relate that to a wrestling game, I think, hey, it'd be cool to take some of the stuff from his other games and you could be the wrestler and you could go through your wrestler's career. Even if you have small stuff such as, like, you wouldn't be able to go too crazy into it because clearly you're not the booker, but you could get into like backstage heat with people. You could do this booking date instead of this one if it pays more, and even like, I guess, road agents, you could even incorporate that into them putting over someone who wasn't supposed to be put over. Just really small stuff that I think it is kind of big, but just small stuff when you think about it that could be so much more if you put that 4 years into something like that crazy. So
yeah, that's a great idea, mate. Have you made that suggestion?
No, I just saw that right now because I was when you said that, I was like, man, it would be cool for him to incorporate some other stuff, like because when you were talking about the heat bars and stuff like that, I was thinking, yeah, like you could definitely get some heat in the wrestling world as like the guy with the ego who won't put anyone over, like actually play as the wrestler. Of course, that'd be because it would all tie into the personality features, which I think is pretty cool. So
definitely, he might be hesitant with wrestling spirit, though.
Yeah, because I know that's a big seller.
Let you play as the wrestler. Yes.
Yeah, I think there should be some more stuff for the head booker, in my opinion, especially because I try to play as the head booker, and I think sometimes it gets too hard in an aspect of getting the job at first, and then keeping the job sometimes is kind of hard. So
definitely, yeah.
But we're gonna end it with one big thing. What would be your greatest advice to people who want to get into the mod making scene?
Oh, good question.
Because you spend a lot of hours on that, and many thanks from me alone, let alone all my Skype click friends who will actually do like 8-player like versus, like 4-on-4. Like we'll actually have, you know, big long heated arguments for hours on end in your mods, thankfully, with because it's just so much fun. I can't tell you how much fun we have with all the mods. So
that's really nice to hear, man. I hope some people, whenever you guys do that, feel free to shoot me a message with any of the, especially if it's on YouTube, because I will watch it. I think it's great you guys even use my mod in the first place. But as far as advice goes, man, probably lots of little bits of advice. Something I'm actually working on at the moment is putting together a post of as much advice I can give to help people kick off modding. Some of the big ones would be just talk to people. Don't get someone else's mod from 2013, start working on it, and post about that it's coming out. I love passion, and I said that to best in the world, man. The enthusiasm's awesome, but the history that GDS has got, that's just going to create drama. All the mod makers that I know are all awesome guys, from Matt Shannon to Fleisch, all of the guys, even to the guys that don't mod anymore, Daboon, they always help you out, including me. I'll always help. So just talk to people and get help and have fun. That's something that I think a lot of people on GDS have stopped doing lately. It's having fun.
Hopefully there's a good revival coming up soon on the forums. I really hope so. Getting more up to date with not only the wrestling world, but kind of everybody in general with the forums. And
oh, definitely, mate, definitely. And that, if I can say one more thing, it would be please do sign up to the forums if you enjoy my mods. We're going to do some great stuff on there. We've already got embedded videos and everything like that, so the mod page itself looks a lot better than it did on GDS. And just post and throw support, and hopefully we can build a really good community there with mod makers, streamers, diary guys, everything. So all your videos are going to be able to be embedded as well if you guys want to start posting there. So let us know how we can help, and we'll kick it off.
So of course I'll give a link to the Wrestling Nexus for one, which will be more of a little up-to-date forums. If I could give a quick suggestion, just get like a live chat going. Maybe not a I don't know what the one chat they have in GDS is so old, like I can't remember the name of it, sadly. I recommend a Discord. Discord's kind of really hot right now in terms of voice chat and just straight up chatting, because you can have a lobby for chat and then a lobby for voice chat. So maybe look into that link, and then I'll post a link to the new one for TOG, which is the House of Pro Wrestling, which I'm going to say right now, I have a t-shirt that says Home of Professional Wrestling, because I owned an eFed for the better half of 4 or 5 years called the House of Professional Wrestling, that became the Home of Professional Wrestling. And so I have that shirt, and I just think that's crazy, like, you know, that it's such a good name. Like I just was waiting for someone else to be like, hey, this is not just a house that loves pro wrestling, like we are a home, we love pro wrestling. I think that's a big thing, that everybody loves pro wrestling on the forums. And
yeah, definitely
many thanks for you being on here. And if there's anybody else you think I should get in contact with to hit up for a TW and talk also.
Static would be a good one, man. He's been around for a long time. He's really good with that fictional stuff too, mate, so he could help you out there. And Kenny Morrison is another good guy. He used to book in England, so back in the 90s he used to book shows. He's worked with Grado and a lot of other Scottish wrestlers, so he'd be a really fun one as well. But I'll give you those contacts afterwards, mate. You can hit them up.
Alright, many thanks, and we'll hear from you all next time. If you have any comments or concerns, anything, leave them down below. Of course, we'll get to them, and hope you all have a nice and safe day.